Welcome back to Partners in Progress. Today we are here with Adam Deathe.
Deathe.
Sorry.
Very important D, that final D. That's
okay.
fine.
Adam Deathe, the head or the director? What's your
Position title is President and CEO, but
of the Chamber of Commerce.
as we'll probably come on to, I never use it because if you say you're the President CEO, everybody assumes that you think you're at the top. And in my role within Chamber of Commerce, I'm at the very bottom of the community and our members and stakeholder partners. So I don't use my title.
Okay.
Yeah, the ego gets parked Monday morning, check back in on a Friday
Just a
evening.
technicality at the top. I see. Okay.
Exactly.
And our co-host today is Austin Hughes, our head of sales and cybersecurity for now, right?
Yeah, mixed roles here.
Mixed
but
roles.
Yeah. Hi.
Yes. Okay, so today, obviously, we have Adam on as our guest. Today, we're here to talk about the role of the Asheboro Randolph Chamber of Commerce within the small business community of Asheboro, North Carolina. So, I guess, can you tell us a little bit about your role at the Asheboro Randolph Chamber of Commerce? I know you just said you're at the bottom of the totem pole, but
pretty much, yes, and that really does illustrate my view of my role. It's very much one of support. Some people talk about service leadership and that sort of thing. For me, the Chamber of Commerce, we're a county Chamber of Commerce, so we're not just working exclusively in Asheboro, we're across the 9 municipalities of the county. And it's very much a convener of stakeholder partners, of small business, of large business, trying to pull everything together because there are so many assets. It's a multifaceted offer within Randolph County. There are so many different dynamics that are in play. And the Chamber has to be aware, not necessarily in control, but aware of what's happening. So we're that convener, as I mentioned. We get people around the table to discuss various issues. But also there for business support as well, be it entrepreneurial support, new business, identifying appropriate routes for them if they want to get into new business. So we would refer to people to the Small Business Centre, the Randolph Community College. And then for those businesses that are more established and really out on their own, then we engage with them around networking, providing the support and developing skill sets. And supporting the community in general. Because one of the other things that will become apparent is I'm a big believer that as much as we're a Chamber of Commerce, we have to be a Chamber of Community as well. So we work with non-profit community as well.
And not just businesses. So this is me personally asking, I guess, but when I think of the Chamber of Commerce, obviously there's commerce at the end. Do you guys do any financial support or is there any money involved within your role, or is it mainly just enabling community connection and building leadership and business-to-business relationships?
Yes, that there are some grants that can become available. The Chamber itself doesn't offer those, but we work with stakeholder partners such as the City of Asheboro. Yep. They are at the moment launching some new grants, and they'll be coming through both ourselves at the Chamber of Commerce as well as the EDC and the City as well. So it's a very exciting time.
Why? I guess this is back to an Asheboro thing. Why is not necessarily Asheboro? Obviously, you guys do Randolph County as well. Why is a Chamber of Commerce a business-to-business supportive organization, a structure? Why is that really important, especially within a smaller community? Whereas, compared to Greensboro or Charlotte or Raleigh or Durham or these bigger metropolises, is it more beneficial that you are a Chamber of Commerce within a smaller community, or how does that line up?
You could argue that a Chamber of Commerce is a Chamber of Commerce, but each chamber will differ from community to community. So there will be gaps and niches within each community, be it a large metropolis such as New York or Randolph County, that Chamber of Commerce will fulfill. We work very closely with chambers across the state. Just last week I was at a conference and that brought together all the chambers that are federated into Raleigh.
How many are there?
Oh,
in North Carolina, do you know?
No, not off the top of my head.
Is it? I know not every municipality has one, or every county.
That's correct. Yes, not every municipality has one. Most counties, I'd imagine, in North Carolina will have a Chamber of Commerce. In Randolph County, we actually have 5. So we have ourselves, which is the Asheboro Randolph Chamber of Commerce. Then we also have the Archdale Trinity, Randleman, Ramsar, and Liberty.
Yes.
So there are 4
Liberty
others.
has a Chamber of Commerce?
It does, yes.
Is that new?
No.
Is that
No,
a long-standing? Okay.
Pretty long-standing, yes. Not as long-standing as this chamber. The Asheboro and Randolph Chamber has been in existence for 100 years. It's our centenary this year. So it's a very exciting time
Congratulations.
this year. Thank you. You can tell, can't you? It's the colour of the hair. But yes, it's a very exciting time because we're actually in the process of writing our strategic plan that will take us into the next 100 years, as it were. So it'll be a 5-year strategic plan and how we fit together with those other chambers of commerce that we've talked about.
How much has Asheboro and Randolph County changed within the last 100 years, based on the history of the chamber?
Oh,
tremendously, right?
Yes,
Absolutely,
tremendously.
yeah.
I think one of the things to be very mindful of is that it's not too long ago that Asheboro was struggling, and I think it's fair to say that. And that was very evident. There was even a 60 Minutes documentary on it. And that was probably due to NAFTA. And
what is NAFTA?
NAFTA was the North American Free Trade Agreement.
Free trade.
Yes.
Okay.
So what that did was open up the markets between Canada and Mexico and the United States. What you saw was manufacturing and certainly textiles move to Mexico.
How long ago was this?
Well, crikey, now you're asking because I've only been in the States for 5 years. So
25?
Yeah, it'll be 20-something years ago. Actually, no, it'll be longer than that. It'll be 30-odd years ago now because it was in the sort of late part of the 20th century that we saw that decline.
Because they moved, right?
They did, yeah. They physically moved out of town and they moved to Mexico and other locations where it's more economical for them.
My dad, he came to the States. He came to the States to start kind of this nonprofit, like he was offered a job, so he didn't start it, but like he was brought on. But the building that this nonprofit was donated was an old sock factory in Star, North Carolina, and this 500,000 square foot huge building. But that sock factory had become empty and left because they had moved production to Mexico. And it was around that time.
Yes.
So all of that was happening at the same time, including in Asheboro. So this entire mill area here was manufacturing that was at that point no longer manufacturing. I see.
Correct. So you saw a dynamic shift in the sustainability of Asheboro and Randolph County, indeed the entire region. What you've seen, though, is a complete transformation, and that is down to the dedication of some key people. I'm thinking of particularly the likes of former Mayor David Smith, Chairman Darrell Fry, who had the vision for what Asheboro could and should be again. And clearly, we've not seen textile manufacturing return to Asheboro.
Yeah,
we've seen that evolution in the local market. You look at the Asheboro downtown, and there's vibrancy to it. We're seeing repurpose of buildings and that sort of thing.
Just like this one.
Yes, very much so.
This one probably was not.
And you mentioned earlier about the city of Asheboro bringing in some of those grants. We had we were at the Business Alliance meeting the other morning where they were having some presentations for the city of Asheboro, giving out grants based on being able to revitalize some of these buildings and turning into something cool.
Very much so, and it's huge kudos to the city of Asheboro for bringing something like that to market.
Absolutely.
Because it's not easy to do, but it's building on the imagination and the determination of some key people, and we've got people like Adi Corder now in downtown Asheboro, Inc., who are that real driving force. If you've been in Asheboro on a Saturday morning, you will know there's a queue outside the table and people come in from neighbouring counties.
Oh my God, it's just ridiculous. Their social media presence too.
With us sharing a parking lot with the table, we are very familiar with the popularity of the table.
I am sure. And people come to Asheboro because it's such a charming downtown area.
I agree. The charm of that, of Sunset is incredible.
Yes, and it's there all year round. One of the things that is really striking is we have events such as Christmas on Sunset.
Yes.
And that's when you have those sort of little pop-up stalls all around Sunset and these surrounding streets. And to me, that really does embody that small town America charm that people look for. I mean, it's almost like walking in a Hallmark movie. It's just fabulous. But that's replicated throughout the course of the year in various different ways. I know people that live in neighbouring counties and they look at what we have in Asheboro and they're envious because we have this charming downtown area. it's great to have the likes of Winston-Salem and Greensboro and High Point on a doorstep.
What do you think that's down to? Because I've been to, Winston-Salem, I've been to High Point, I've been to Greensboro. Not really that many other places have this sort of charm. They have these old buildings, these repurposed areas, but I don't know what it is that makes Asheboro so cohesive and just nice to be in.
A lot of it is
the community?
size and community, yes. And I think I can really speak to that because I moved to Asheboro a couple of years ago. And
did you previously live in the UK?
Yes. Well, I moved to the States 5 years ago, and I moved to Asheboro 2 years ago. And I came to Asheboro for my third interview, and that was the in-person interview. And I arrived in town the day before because I wanted to get a feel of the place. And to see if I wanted to come and live here. I mean, I was relocating from northern Minnesota, which is where I discovered I do not like being cold.
Yes,
so I was ready to move back to the south. I'd had some time in Atlanta before I moved up to northern Minnesota. I was desperate to get back to the south. And I arrived in Asheboro the day before my interview and started going around. Now, I'm English. I like a cup of tea. And it was great. There were a couple of, we've got 3 tea houses in Asheboro, which is great. So I went to a couple of them and started talking to people. I don't know how, but apparently it was obvious that I wasn't from here. And I said, well, what are you doing here? And they said, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm thinking of relocating. And they said, you know what, you will love Randolph County. And I must have spoken to about 10 people. And each of them gave me a different reason. And each one of them was right. And I went to bed that night, not nervous about the interview, because you get to a point in your life and you think, I'm not going to blag the interview. If we're not going to gel, we're not going to gel. It's good to know straight away. What I was nervous about was not getting the job because I wanted to come and live in Randolph County because it offered that lifestyle, that opportunity, the fact that it is so green and rural, but is so well connected to other areas. I mean, the fact that we're equidistant between Charlotte and Raleigh is fabulous. 90 minutes either direction. You've got great international airports, great city living. We've got High Point and Winston-Salem and Greensboro half an hour to the north. We've got North Carolina Zoo 20 minutes down the road from Asheboro. It is just fabulous.
You purposely chose Asheboro out of all the other places you could live because you were just so wowed by the charm and the place.
Yes, very much so. When I came, I'd done my research before I moved here, came for interview here. But when I got here and saw it that day, I thought, I really want to live here. And the fact that Randolph County is right in the middle of North Carolina as well. So
smack in the middle.
Yes, it's equidistant to the beach and the mountains. I mean, it really does offer something for everybody. And everything's within reach. And I think that's all part of why it's such a charming area and why we have such a vibrant community. One of the things I'm very aware of is the fact that there's going to be considerable growth over the next few years.
Actually, that's a good point to bring up. I wanted to get into that. So Asheboro has grown a lot within the last couple of years because of this revitalization we've seen. Do you ever see Asheboro in and of itself shifting away from this small town culture into something more like Winston-Salem or High Point or Greensboro within the next 20 years, 30 years?
In all sincerity, no. And I say that because there are too many people with passion that live and work in Asheboro and Randolph County.
Different than other places in North Carolina.
In that we are aware of what can happen if we don't manage that change. It is ours to lose effectively, but we won't lose it because, as I mentioned, there are too many good people in office who are in positions where they do have influence over what happens in the county, who have a passion, who believe in that sense of...
Because we've seen that sense of community get lost within rapid growth, especially right now in the Triangle, the rapid suburbanization, urbanization, sprawl, and growth. It's ridiculous.
Well, look at High Point, for example. And I'm not calling out High Point, but High Point used to be the furniture capital of the world, right?
and it still is,
right? But there's pieces of that don't feel, authentic. Not like Asheboro County, right?
And I think that's down to the fact that clearly High Point is a lot more condensed than Randolph County. We are able to offer something in Randolph County that isn't available elsewhere in that immediate Piedmont Triad area. We offer a lifestyle choice. You can work in Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point, and live in Randolph County, and it's a 25-30-minute drive. So you can live in that rural, rolling countryside where you've got the undulation of the terrain, and it feels distinctly different to where you work. That is what will ensure that we retain that community spirit, because people will want to ensure that we don't lose. And because we are still a very large agricultural community,
of course, yes,
there's that farmland that we couldn't use for urbanization.
The new agricultural center in right off Dixie, right, is a very great example of this. That we support agriculture here in Randolph County. It's always, I guess, been a big part of our history here in Asheboro.
Yes, very much so. Whether it be beef or tobacco, it is a big agricultural area. And that won't disappear. And there are some logistical issues as well that will actively manage our growth as well, because as urban areas develop, you need water and sewage. Well, they're not easily available in certain areas. We know if you ever dug a yard or a garden in Randolph County, it's rock hard clay and full of granite. So it's not difficult ground to get through. It's not easy ground, to get through if you're putting in things like that. So there are some logistical issues that have managed that development as well. We're just very fortunate to live where we do.
Yeah, and I guess that rolls perfectly into just what makes Asheboro unique, which is this sense of community and our unique geographical, logistical community situation that we are in.
Yes.
And I think that's a very good point, that Asheboro is special because of that. Going into more of the Asheboro business community, like specifically, businesses, I guess nonprofits here, like just across the street, the Partnership for Kids, we work with them. But what does good business look like in Asheboro?
What does good business
good business look like in Asheboro? Because obviously we have some bigger, companies here in Asheboro, but we also have a lot of small businesses in Asheboro. But there's probably more small business in Asheboro than big business. But what is good business? Is all business good, or is big business bad? Would we want to see some big company come in and build a factory just like the one that used to be here and saturate the job market with just that one factory, or do we want to keep it kind of small?
You need choice. You need to give people choice. And whether you're talking about employment opportunities or where they're going to spend their money, they need those opportunities. There is a place for those big box stores just as much as there are for the mom and pop businesses. Those mom and pop businesses provide character to an area.
I think that adds to the charm.
Very much so, yes. If it was just sort of cookie cutter, if we succumb to the homogenization of high street or the highway, then we would be like a lot of other urban areas. But we don't have that in Asheboro because we have that good mix of large and small businesses. And they provide us opportunities as a consumer, but also for employment as well.
I do think also, and I don't know if this was intentional at all, but there does seem to be like a geographical divide almost between larger, cookie cutter businesses and the downtown area. Right.
Oh, so like on Dixie.
Right. So you have Dixie, and then when you go all the way down,
is that purposeful? I don't know if you're involved in any of that city planning sort of stuff. Is there because I know 64 and Dixie are kind of the same, and they're right off the interstate, and that's where all like the the McDonald's, the Wendy's, the big clothing stores. I can't think off the top of my head.
When you think of those sort of big brand names, they will want certain things that aren't available in cute downtown areas. They're going to want large availability for parking and access. Well, that comes off the main highway. We don't have that opportunity in
do not
downtown
have that space in
because
downtown.
it's a built-up area with the old mills that is now residential accommodation, that sort of thing.
And tearing that down is not an option.
No, not at all, because then you destroy the character. Exactly. So that's why you have those developments on the peripheries
that's why they're on
of
that
communities.
side of Asheboro.
Very much so, yes. And it's the same in all locations. as you move
You have a
outwards, you will
downtown and a
find
commercial area.
that's right, because they're wanting those. They're called big box because that's what they build, a big box, and then somebody comes in and fills it.
Okay.
So how does I guess like rolling back into small business, how in the relationship building does the Chamber of Commerce facilitate this good business, so to speak? So this mom and pop but like the balance between that and big box.
You hit the nail on the head with reference to relationships. Everything is built on relationships and through that networking. We are all here to see Asheboro thrive. We all have a role to play within that community. And that is why you will see those mom and pops complementing those big box brands, because it gives that consumer the choice. We saw, 20-something years ago, the emergence of the online economy. Now, it coincided with the credit crunch of sort of 2008. Just as high street stores started to find it difficult, people started shopping online. And you would have thought that spelt the end for the high street. What it did was speed up that dynamic shift in how consumers engage with retail and businesses. And people did for a while think, well, shopping online is going to be nirvana. That's going to be the new solution to absolutely everything. But people quickly realize that you're not able to engage with somebody through the keyboard. It's kind of a pain
to shop for stuff online.
It is.
And it's convenient.
It is convenient, but I'm a big believer in you don't buy product, you buy people. It's the people behind a business that sees you go back to that business. Mm-hmm. One of the things I talk about in the chamber is the anthropomorphization of that business offer. So it's telling the story of the people behind the business. Because if you can show the consumer who you are and what you're about, they will buy into you. They will buy into that business because there's that personal connection. We all crave connectivity. And social media does represent that to some degree. But you still need that day-to-day interaction.
I think, I mean, maybe even me just personally, it makes me happier when I go get something from the mom and pop shop and like actually get to talk to the owner and the person behind the counter rather than go like, I guess like a oil change is a very common thing. So like going, to a mom and pop shop down the street here versus
going to a Take 5
5-minute oil change places, which not to say that the people that are there are any better or worse, but it's just, it feels more authentic in a sense. And I think that's also, again, back to the charm of, Asheboro and everything. And I think that's just another component of that.
It is very much so. But in those sort of 5-minute oil changes, you still get those
Yes.
There are still people that are behind the business that is important to connect with. And that's why I would always support shopping locally rather than shopping online. Shopping online, you don't have that personal connection.
Yes.
Whether it's a big box store or the small mom and pop, if you're talking to somebody over the counter, you've got that interaction.
See. I guess you touched on this earlier, the growth of the online presence of just about everything, especially within the last 6 years since the whole global pandemic. Online shopping has become increasingly more prevalent, especially like even more so than it was, in 2019, because people were at home, you were stuck at home, you have to buy somehow, and getting it delivered is the safest and easiest way it was at the time. So the online presence and online shopping, but also the social media. And so this is something I wanted to get into with you, and I'm glad Raquel's still here, so she can kind of give you, little messages about what y'all are doing. But y'all's social media has gotten a lot better, I think. And just like what we're doing here, we're trying to personify an IT company, which a lot of the times we find to be difficult. Posting a picture of a computer isn't exactly the most entertaining thing in the world. So finding avenues that we are able to express ourselves and make
turn the the humdrum of an IT company, as we talked about earlier, super dry. IT isn't the most exciting field on the planet. But at the end of the day, like we're people too, right? And being able to express ourselves as people to give that more personalized, shopping experience, where ours may not necessarily be like a hold in your hand product, but a service instead. I still think it's extremely important to be able to, put ourselves out there as people and express the things that we like and the things that we enjoy, and make those relationships with people. Where it may be hard when you're having a conversation as dry as, oh yeah, your computer needs an update every.
Yes,
and that's something we wanted to do with this show, and this podcast in particular, is to show people that people in Asheboro are real people. We are, we have a presence here. We have the opportunity to be able to do business here in Asheboro. And for us in particular, and I guess you guys as well, smack in the middle of downtown Asheboro, it's really an incredible thing. And Partners in Progress is kind of the fruit of that whole idea that, we are a part of this thing that is growing and getting better over time. And the social media aspect of not just us, but small businesses here in Asheboro, we think is an important thing. And so having, business owners on here, being able to talk about their experiences, and even maybe, think about expanding their own social media avenues for their businesses, would be really cool to see. But yeah, so that's
and another thing that I'll add is, giving potentially, some encouragement for maybe somebody who has thought about starting a business, has thought about coming into Asheboro and trying to sell maybe a product that they have or a service that they have, or getting involved in the community. There's a lot of people that may need some encouragement to do we need to pause? Okay, good. But maybe somebody who needed that little bit of encouragement to, maybe they weren't comfortable calling the chamber before because they weren't sure about, their business or their product or XYZ, right? But now they may feel more confident calling you and saying, hey, this is my situation. Here's what I want to do, and how can the Chamber of Commerce help me?
Because
accomplish
whenever I
those
read
goals,
your
right?
name, it was a little intimidating, Mr. Deathe. I read it the wrong way the first time. But that actually rolls perfectly into my next point. Advice for entrepreneurs, particularly, well, not particularly, but maybe more so for newer entrepreneurs here in Asheboro. Obviously, we have businesses popping up here all the time, new ones, small shops and everything. But even for established business owners, what advice would you give to someone trying to do business in Asheboro when they're thinking of maybe opening a shop in Asheboro versus, not downtown, but metropolitan, High Point or Greensboro, that kind of sort of place? What would you tell them?
A lot of it comes down to doing your research first. Make sure you understand what you're going to be doing.
Your demographic,
but also your business model as well. Mm-hmm. You've got to make sure that you're selling that something. I remember being at university and being told that marketing is about selling things that don't come back to people that do. And that is probably, out of 4 years of university, that is the only thing I remember being told. Selling is about selling things that don't come back to people that do. And there's a lot of truth in that, because it's about building those relationships. So clearly you've got to make sure that what you're wanting to do is wanted by people. And are you in the right place? It might be that the high street location is perfect for you, or it might be that it's online, depending what the business model is. Make sure you've done that research. Make sure you've prepared. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You will fail. But if you're engaged with people, if you have people to talk to, then you're in a much stronger position. So that's why we'd always encourage people to come to the chamber or develop their own social network, talk to people, have somebody you can bounce ideas off. Now, one of the key things the chamber is able to do, obviously, is facilitate that networking. We have various groups that we do that through, be it the Randolph Business Alliance or the Alianza de Negocios, which is the Spanish language version of the Randolph Business Alliance. Hugely important. Certainly the Alianza, because it provides that safe space for people whose first language is Spanish to come and network, which didn't exist previously.
Is that I guess I don't live in Asheboro, so I don't know. Is that a huge demographic within Asheboro? I'm assuming so. Is that, if you had to give it a percentage,
I believe it's around 40% of the businesses
that was my
in
guess.
Asheboro are Spanish speaking, with Spanish being their first language. I believe it's more than 50% of the students within the Asheboro City schools, Spanish is their first language. So it's a big demographic. And it's about meeting people where they are, because forging links with that community. Remember earlier I said we're a Chamber of Commerce and we're a Chamber of Community. What it's about. We have to be representative of the people we serve, and we do serve those two communities, increasingly so now as the Chamber develops and evolves through this growth, through its development of its strategic plan, as we have an eye onto the future.
I think I see that a lot of the time. Right now, I'm still a high school student, so I go to UR Charter Academy. But anytime we have, a coinciding sporting event with Asheboro High School, it's I see a lot of Hispanic students, and it's always made me wonder, like, that is such a huge component of Asheboro that I think, not that we tend to forget, but it's also incredibly important to highlight. And if you had to, I guess, give it a figure, 40% of residents Spanish speaking. What about business owners?
The 40% is a business.
Is it also business? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure of the domestic split in the community, but I was told at one point that it's 40% of the local businesses are Spanish owned.
Hispanic speaking.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. So looking forward, I guess we kind of touched on this earlier. Within Asheboro, what's next? What is the plan for the next 5-10 years?
And maybe we touch on too that 100-year plan. I'm excited to hear about this.
What's the next 100 years look like for Asheboro? This is quite far that we're going.
Well, my strategic plan will only look at 5 years.
Oh, okay.
We're looking at 100 years. It's setting us up for the Chamber's next 100 years.
So you only look at 5 years.
Yes, yeah. A strategic plan will typically look at 5 years, but it is useful to remember that it's a living document. So you don't write it on day one and then leave it for 5 years and then think, sugar.
Yep.
It's something that you amend year in year, because obviously the situation changes. The international, the domestic situation changes. That's going to have an impact. So we have to be very flexible, and that's what it's about. Everything has to be reviewed and assessed and be developed to move on. Otherwise, we're not going to be hitting those markers that we need to. We're not going to be able to support the people that we're here to support. And what I'm really keen to ensure is that the Chamber offers a return on investment for our members, for our corporate partners, our strategic partners, the members of the community in the non-profit community. I'm looking to them all to say, what can the Chamber do? And I think that's key. And if we're able to do that, we haven't got to worry about the next 100 years, because we will know if we're here to serve a purpose, won't be going anywhere.
It's moment after moment, rather than necessarily looking, okay, we're going to do this in 5 years, 10 years, 100 years. Yeah. So
And we talked a little bit too about our little good idea board, right? So like having those long-term goals of like, oh, hey, we want to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, and F. Those are all things that we would like to do at some point, kind of like this podcast, right?
Yeah, this was at one point on the good idea board.
On the good idea board, right? So like having those things up there and then being like, okay, well, we have a moment to sit here and talk about it and see if maybe one of those things on the good idea board is accomplishable. And I'm really glad that we got to choose something like this. But I think it's cool that everybody can kind of get the same experience with the good idea board, or making a 5-year plan and saying, I want to achieve these things. Now, as to how I get there, we're going to have to play it that moment by moment and figure out what is correct and at what times to be able to push towards that.
Very much so.
I think also with this podcast is I don't know what Adam, I guess you as a kind of a, I guess you are at the bottom of the totem pole, but a business figure within Asheboro. Do you think having something like this within Asheboro, like this podcast, as an opportunity for business owners and business leaders to come and speak upon their own experiences? We think we've been brainstorming for months and months and months now, but do you think this is a good idea? I'm assuming so because
don't feel like you have to lie.
Yeah,
to us
don't feel like you have to lie, but I'm assuming so because you did come
well,
on
you
the
sat
podcast.
me in the corner. I've got to get past you both to get to the door. So I'm going to have to say.
Derek's on the other side too.
Yeah, Derek's guarding the door.
I think it's a superb idea. You referenced social media earlier, and Raquel Asensio, who does our marketing communications with the Chamber, absolutely fabulous. She understands social media. I don't necessarily. And there's been a real proliferation of social media platforms over the last few years. So much so that it waters down the effectiveness of any one of them because there are so many competitors now. Gone are the days where you had one local newspaper and that was the oracle. That was where you found everything out. Mm-hmm. There are so many different routes to market now. It really does mean that you've got to be on top of your game. So to create your own platform like this is fabulous because you're giving yourself control of that message you're putting out there. You can control who's your platform and you can position it however you so choose. So people who want to find out about partners can watch and they can understand. They can hear about you. Even though you're doing the interviewing, they can hear what you're about and what you're interested in. And also how gracious you are in terms of providing people like me a platform to engage. Mm-hmm. So fantastic. Well done. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's been long running, I think.
Yeah, this has very much been a Ken, responsibility over the last couple of months. He has been heading this entire thing.
It's definitely been a lot. This isn't something that I thought I would ever do. But I'm glad I'm helping out, and not helping out. I guess I'm leading it. I'm doing this, but
he is our Raquel. We don't understand social media either. Even though we may seem
it's
young.
hard. It's hard to keep top of, and I think, especially production-wise, it's not easy to get your head wrapped around this sort of thing. And I'm glad partners and Scott, who's our owner, has given me and us this opportunity to share things with everyone. But getting everything together is definitely a lot. There's a lot of knowledge that you need, a lot of things that have culminated within my life, like little bits of knowledge about how to do little things with like OBS and stuff and like cameras and stuff. It's been good. And I think I'm very proud of what has come to be. This episode will drop, and I think it'll be a good thing to see how it goes. We're pre-recording now because I'm not going to be here. I graduate May 29th, but I leave and I go to Japan for a month.
Okay.
June 10th to July 9th. So I'll be here for a month. So we're just pre-recording these so we can get them out there. But yeah, there's been a lot, and I think it'll continue to be very good for us, but also more importantly, businesses in Asheboro. And
fantastic.
We appreciate your support and everything. But
absolute pleasure.
Now, did you have any more questions? Because I do have one or two.
You have one or two questions?
Yeah, if we have time for them. If we don't, that's
we have
fine.
plenty of time. That's not a big deal.
Okay.
Just, I guess, last question I really have is, what excites you about this next 5-year plan that you have? You don't have to do any specifics because it's not in stone yet. But what's something that you really look forward to seeing more of in Asheboro?
It's that growth. It's being part of something that's exciting, seeing that regional growth and knowing that Randolph County is going to benefit from it in ways that people probably haven't yet realized, and it's all being good is quite an exciting time to be in Randolph County.
Well, Austin, do you have any?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions, but to speak on what, like being able to be excited about the growth too, it's easy to relate to that because of our experiences moving into the positions that we're at now in partners, right? Now, I'm not going to touch on that story here, but it is exciting to be able to sit down and look at where you were, a year ago, a year and a half ago, and see the differences that have been made and see the progression. And you may not see them in the moment, right? And you may not know that they're coming. But as time goes on, you take a seat and you look back at the things that you've accomplished over the last year and some change, or 2 years, or 3 years, or 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you do see the growth, and that I think that is really exciting. And
yes.
I'm super excited to see that for Asheboro. I believe we're already seeing it for Asheboro. I know Randolph County is growing every day. I mean, we get phone calls all the time of people talking about, oh, I just started my new business and I can't wait to quit my real people job and start working on my business that I'm really passionate about and I get to enjoy every day. And I love getting those phone calls. Those are some of my favorites.
Yes.
That is my favorite thing in the world is people going, man, I can't wait to quit my job and do something way more fun that I get to start.
I guess that's also like the American dream almost. I think Asheboro embodies that very well. The land of that anyone can do anything if they want to. You put in the hard work, you put in the effort, you start something here in Asheboro, and then it comes back. There's very good return. Obviously, there's mistakes along the way. We've seen that a lot of the times with a lot of businesses. Like, not everything goes according to plan. But at the end of the day, I think time and time again we see this hardworking, amazing group of people do the business thing, get the machine working, get the cog going, and then they end up succeeding here in Asheboro.
And you brought it up, like, I mean, owning a small business or being an entrepreneur is hard.
Oh, it's not easy.
Like it's extremely difficult. Yes. But like at the end of the day, like nothing is worth doing if it's not hard, right? I mean, if you look at it in other aspects of your life too, and not just business related, but like being married is hard, right? Having kids is hard. Managing your bank account is hard. All of it is hard, and it's all the things that are the most beneficial to you and the things that you enjoy most that are the hardest. And I think once people get more comfortable with something being difficult and something being hard and being okay with making that decision to just go for it anyway, I think that's going to be a huge growth chapter for everybody. And I'm really excited for that to come.
Yeah.
And that brought me into one of my questions actually is, do you think, and this is going to be a way throwback back to COVID times. I don't know if we're allowed to say COVID-19 on the internet anymore.
I think it's fine. Yeah.
But with that time being there, did you see an increase of entrepreneurs in Randolph County after, COVID-19 was subsiding?
Well, I was actually in the UK for COVID.
Okay, gotcha.
So, yes.
So when did you start working for the chamber?
2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah,
so 2024?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Who was there before?
I'm sorry?
Who was
my predecessor was Linda Brown.
Linda Brown.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and moved on to Randolph Community College. But during COVID, I was in the UK. And that was an interesting time. I was managing Durham Business Improvement District, so that was the original Durham over in the UK.
I see.
So
the original Durham.
Yeah. I mean, it was a city that was founded 1,000 years ago. Absolutely beautiful cathedral. I could talk all day about what a great city that was. But in the run-up to COVID, we could see what was happening because we could see what obviously happened in China, and then it started happening in Italy, in Europe. So I started talking to our businesses and saying, you need to get ready. I don't know what you need to get ready for because we've not experienced anything like this before, but just start to think about how are you going to engage with your consumers if we do go into a lockdown. Now, as I said, we had seen what happened in northern Italy at the time, and some isolated towns had been put into lockdown. There's certainly no national lockdown at that moment. I said, you've got to start thinking about how to prep. So we had systems in place to help them create online platforms and that sort of thing. One of the things I'm incredibly proud of is the fact that a year later, when we came out of lockdown, we had more businesses in Durham than we did when we went into
Durham,
COVID.
The UK.
Durham, UK.
Not
yes.
North Carolina. More businesses come out?
There were more businesses at the end of COVID than there were that
How is
went
that?
in. That was because...
did they embrace the online?
Some did. Some use that opportunity to... Some entrepreneurs use that opportunity to... if they had been furloughed or made redundant from employers, to invest in themselves and then
learn
create space in Durham. Now, we had, unfortunately, some businesses did fail. We had some deaths in Durham. Some entrepreneurs died, unfortunately. But we came out of lockdown with one or two more businesses than actually went in with, which is testament to that spirit of the entrepreneur. But that's everywhere. That's not unique to County Durham in the UK.
Right. But that was your window into.
Very much so. And it was an incredible privilege to see that. COVID was very hard on all businesses.
Right.
I mean, you can't detract from that. But some people were able to rise to the challenge and evolve and create new businesses out of it. And that's fantastic.
At the end of the day, that's what a good business, a good entrepreneur does, is ride the wave of difficulty and adversity and overcome it.
Very much so.
Okay. Well, I think that is all I have. I guess, closing thoughts. I don't know. We were very gracious for Adam Deathe to come on our podcast today, to come on the show. Partners in Progress. Closing thoughts and remarks. I guess, are there any ways, so for someone, an audience member watching this show, what is the best way for them to get the most out of today's show, I guess? Is there any way they can get involved with the chamber? Is there any way they should be going about doing their business here in Asheboro? What are some things that they can do?
As I mentioned earlier, a lot of it comes down to relationship. Now, certainly as far as the chamber's concerned, you can pay to become a member, but unless you're an active member, it's going to be difficult to see that return on investment.
Yeah.
You need to be coming to those networking opportunities, those business after hours, to meet people, grow the circle in which you're able to do business. And that helps to raise your profile, but also to access the other programs that the chamber offers. We're going to be increasing the number of lunch and learns that we deliver. So there's going to be opportunity to learn new skill sets. There are ways to market your chamber through the social media aspect. There's lots of different things that happens with the chamber and its partners, because it's all about work in collaboration with other people as well. So looking at those networking opportunities with our strategic partners. But in terms of being part of the community, again, it's about being engaged with that community.
Meeting people, talking to people.
Very, very much so. Looking to nonprofits, see how you can support your community. Because if you invest in your community, the community will recognize, and it raises your profile.
Well, take that advice, do it with what you will. So I think we'd like to thank Adam for being on the show today. Thank you for all your advice and your knowledge, experience, and help. I'm sure a lot of what you said today is very helpful. I mean, it was helpful for me to hear. I don't know. I'm not very experienced within the business realm of Asheboro.
And realistically, Ken, you weren't really around, when we were going through a lot of our stuff.
Well, absolutely
right?
not.
So
I was born right before the financial crisis.
Crikey.
So,
well, that makes me feel old. Thank you.
Yes. So I was born December 6th, 2007.
Oh my word.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Well,
I had to get these young guys in to take care of the social media.
I think that's the benefit of having someone young.
But the chamber has been a huge help.
Yes.
To
we appreciate the
Partners
chamber.
as a whole, and
Partners is a member of the chamber, obviously, and I've never been to one of the meetings. I probably should go to the next one if I can. But
we'll bring you. We'll make sure we get you registered.
Yes. Yeah. But thanks for the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon. It's been fun.
Yeah. Thank you so
appreciate
much.
You very much. Best of luck with the podcast as well.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, if you haven't already, check out Adam. He is the CEO or president of the Chamber of Commerce, but obviously that also means he's the bottom of the totem pole. But if you haven't already, make sure to like the show, follow us. We post on Spotify, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, some other ones, where we have Facebook, we have Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Anything and anywhere partners related, just come and check us out. So make sure to share, and I guess we'll see you next time. So
thank you,
goodbye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.